Your third year of firefighting, what was that all about?
Well, third year firefighting in forestry, we have to go through a summer camp, lasts about 6 weeks. And the summer camp for the University of Idaho is down in McCall. And as the summer camp is coming to an end, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to be able to do in order to make some money, because that's how I paid for my college. Was I worked during the summer, and that would make enough money I could pay for the college year. And I found out that Smokejumpers had gone over to the Hot Shots at the beginning of the fire season and said, hey, we got 3 slots. Any of you guys interested in coming over and being jumpers? And they got 3 of their guys that went over to be jumpers, so they were a few men short. So I went and talked to them, and they said, yeah, when your camp is finished, submit your application and we'll bring you on. So I joined the McCall Hot Shots summer of 1968. And don't remember where all we went. I know we fought most of our fires in Idaho, but we did go, I think, to Oregon and California.
Do you want to describe a hot shot crew? Most people might not even know what that is.
Okay, a hot shot crew is a varying number of firefighters. Generally 21 to 25 guys make up a crew, and they will be sent out to fires to build fire line or to maintain patrol on something that you think has been contained, to make sure it doesn't flare up and jump the lines. And it's kind of a nice way to go about fighting fire if you're going to be building fire line, because you don't have one guy trying to build the whole clear area by himself. What you're trying to do is dig through the pine needles and everything else to get down to mineral earth. And so the first guy in line of the crew will take his Pulaski or shovel or whatever and scrape a little bit and take a step forward and then scrape and a step and scrape. And the guy behind him does the same thing. And by the time the last guy goes through, all he's doing basically is making sure that the line is wide enough and we are down to mineral earth and it's in good shape. And in doing so, you can build a lot of fire line in a relatively short period of time.
Do you remember the hardest fire you had your crew on, or you were on the crew? Do you remember one that was really tough? What you were asked to do?
I remember, of course, like I told you before, as you turn gray, the plugs that hold your smarts and memories in are gone. But down in California, the fire we were on down there was in the brush, and unfortunately one of the retardant dropping helicopters had crashed, and there was no way to get to him because of the terrain. So they took us and had us go down the hill to where the crash was and open up the ridge line wide enough they could get an evacuation helicopter in there to take him out, take him to the hospital. Very hot day. The fire was all around us, and in that brush that's 15 feet tall, if it gets going, there's nothing to do but say your goodbyes to each other. And they were nervous that that's what was going to happen to us, but we had to try and get the pilot out. So we got down there and cleared out a little hover area for the helicopter, and they got him out, and about that time, right after he takes off, they get I guess it was a B-17, a retardant dropper, come in, and he's dropping retardant over the top of us because the fire's coming our way, and they turn us down into the draw that's just below us and tell us to get down off the mountain. And I guess that was probably the tightest, closest as a hot shot.
So how'd you get into the smoke jumpers?
Blind luck. I learned what you had to have for requirements. Excuse me. My first summer working on the Targhee, when the smoke jumpers there gave us a little presentation and told us about the requirements and what you did, how much you got paid, where you went, so on and so forth. I knew I was a little bit short on fire experience because they were saying you needed like 4 to 5 years of firefighting experience, and I'd only had 3 summers with a little bit each summer. But I got accepted as an alternate. And then right before school got out, I got a call saying, "Are you still interested?" "Yeah, well, we've had a slot open up. Get your physical exam and report down here to McCall." I don't remember the date, but for smoke jumper training. And so I reported to McCall.
How many of you were there that were new?
That's the memory part. I don't know, maybe 15, 20, somewhere in there.
Do you remember who your squad boss was, your training boss? How was that set up down there?
Uncle Ken was the guy in charge of training. He was based out of Idaho City. But fantastic guy. Really was. I wish I could remember his last name, but I can't. But he lived in Idaho City, and that's where he jumped from. But he came up to McCall to train the early crews. And we supplied men for Idaho City as well as McCall. Sort of like Missoula trains guys for their other bases or sub-bases.
What do you remember? Was he a military guy or just an experienced jumper? Or what impressed you about Uncle Ken?
His manner. Uncle Ken was, God, how to describe him? He worked hard. He partied hard. He was dead serious, but he had humor about him. Those things make for a heck of a training officer. Now, there was a rumor floating around that he'd worked with the CIA over in Vietnam training Vietnamese paratroopers and whatnot. They said, yeah, he used to have to pick them up and throw them out of the back of the airplane to get them to jump because they didn't want to jump. And I always said, wow, that's something else. And of course, Vietnam was going on at the time, so it was very plausible. But he had many, many jumps behind him, had a lot of experience, and the staff deferred to him. So to me, that tells me that the guy is someone you ought to listen to and pay attention to.
So that first year, you jumped 3 years, so that first year, did you get a lot of fire jumps in 68? Or in 69?
Summer 69. Don't remember how many fire jumps I had. I'm guessing it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20. It's quite a few, really. But
yeah. Would you remember your first jump?
I remember my first training jump.
Yeah.
I got up there, and that was the first time I had second thoughts about what I was doing. You're in the back of this DC-3 with the door open. It's noisy, you can't hear yourself think. And I'm like the fourth guy in line, and of course they're putting us out one at a time, so you can get the full effect. And I'm seeing these guys go out, no, that ain't so bad, that ain't so bad. Man, this is a big hole. What am I doing here? So I was very, very tentative, very pensive going out the door. And the next thing I know, the wind's taking my feet and it whips them up above my head. So I'm up looking like this, and I see the empennage, the tail on the back of the airplane. I see that go over my head, and I say, wow, that's close. And then my parachute's open, and I've got shroud lines underneath my neck trying to burn through and choke me, and I got all kinds of twists on the thing, and I'm getting blown way off where I'm supposed to go. By the time I can do a chin-up on the shroud lines and get them out from under my neck and then kick and get myself untwisted, there's no way I'm getting back to where I'm supposed to be. I come down, and they're screaming and hollering at me about getting my lazy ass up there, and so I get back, and they take us into the classroom. We met in the local high school. That's where we had our classrooms. And he's sitting up there and going through, or he's standing up and going through how the people exited and how they were, and you only hear it's kind of poor and mediocre, and then I get up there and it's all piss poor, piss poor, piss poor. Pete, everything? Come on, guys! I thought I did pretty well. You didn't tell me I was going to get choked by this thing. But after that, you didn't want to be standing in the doorway when it was my time to go, because I wanted to get out there. It was a kick in the butt. It was fun. I loved it.